What is up, everybody, and welcome to another Armchair Fantasy Football live stream. As you will notice, my name is Cory, but I do have a guest here today. We do have T-Bone from the MV3 Podcast. You'll learn a lot about T-Bone. You'll learn a lot about our sleepers for Week 1. Ahead of the kickoff to the NFL season, it is the Ravens and the Chiefs in just about an hour and a half. You'll learn about that and so much more. But T-Bone, introduce yourself, man. Where are you coming from? Plug the pod, and let's get to know you a bit.
Sure, absolutely, man. I appreciate you having me on. As Cory said, I'm T-Bone, MV3 Pod with our good friend Kyle. Pretty much on YouTube, Facebook, Apple Pod. Maybe Google Pod. Anywhere you get your podcast, we're on there as well. Usually, we're going live on Wednesdays, right around between 7:30. Yeah, we're out there just doing some similar stuff, just kind of shooting the shit a little bit and talking sports, mainly football, all that stuff, and happy to be here to help out whatever we can. Excited for some football, though. Happy about it.
I know. I wish I counted the amount of days since the Super Bowl, but it's been at least like 150, 180, somewhere in there. It's been way too long. So I'm glad it's finally starting. And if you guys are interested in following along to the MV3 Podcast, I just threw that in the live chat below, so you can access that. Wonderful. I do make appearances from time to time, so I'll let you know when you can follow me over there as well. But yeah, we have fun with it, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's always a good time. We're always sometimes, we're not as structured as you are over here, but we just we shoot from the hip, and that's our style. We just like to go with the flow, and we love taking questions from everyone, as do you. So yeah, it's a good time over there.
Yeah, I remember you guys doing like the Immaculate and everything. Do you still do that? Because I've been making that like a morning routine for myself. I do that every morning. I did horrible today. I got like 7 or 6 or 5, but
we are probably gonna bring it back just because once we get back in the flow of it a little bit, kind of was on a break there over the summer, and our schedule going forward, we kind of have a mapped out to give Kyle and I both some breaks, kind of postseason. Like, hey, take a month off here before this and all that kind of stuff. So. But yeah, I think we're going to get that back into it, just whether we do one or a couple or just the daily one, since we really go live either weekly or every so often, if we grab two a week. But yeah, I always enjoy it. It's always fun to test the knowledge and which obscure player. It's just kind of when you're with the boys in the basement, just like, name the most random. Hey, who was the backup quarterback for the Chicago Bears in 2007? It's like, I don't know, Rex Grossman?
Uh-huh.
Kyle Orton, maybe? I don't know. It's you start naming these obscure, you're like, wow, I haven't heard of Amir Abdullah in years.
Yeah,
and
right.
Just, throwing them out there. It's a great time.
I pulled a Jason Campbell the other day, and I was like, I'm kind of proud of that. Yes.
Oh, that's a good one. I think I had one a little while back. It was an LG Crumpler for the Titans. Oh my
gosh, yeah.
I was like, oh man. That's a throwback.
That's probably a 0.5er. Yeah, pretty good, right?
Yeah, it's a good. I think I got the good score on that one.
Yeah. I know. I'm decent friends with the AAA announcer for the Cubs, and he just got called up yesterday and called a freaking no-hitter. So that was pretty cool. But he did an Immaculate about a month ago, and he got like 3 was his score, and I was like, what are we doing? Like, just crazy.
Yeah,
so.
I've seen some other on like TikTok and all that stuff, and they're like, yeah, we don't want to get above a 1, and I'm like, excuse me?
Yeah, what are we? You're gonna spend hours and days and weeks on that. I mean,
and they're pulling it in like a 45-second clip, and I'm like, man, all right. There's people that know ball, and then there's the savants, freaks of nature, like the Stump the Schwab back in the day.
They're built different. Wow. So T-Bone and I will be doing sleepers ahead of the first game of the NFL season. I've got a few. He's got a few for you. And then, as always, you can see the graphic on the bottom of the screen. Please, please, please ask us your fantasy football questions. We dive way too deeply into this, take it way too seriously to not help some of you guys out. So if you've got questions about trades, if you are like me doing a draft like hours before kickoff, I was doing one earlier today. If you've got the same problems as me and you're encountering those types of things, feel free to ask. Otherwise, trades, week 1 start sits. It's obviously that time of the season as well. If you've got people on Baltimore or Kansas City, sure. But right now, T-Bone and I are just going to kind of go back and forth and spitball a few sleepers that hold a little more value than the market's kind of putting them at the moment. And T-Bone, you are the guest, so I'll let you do the honors if you want to start off with one of yours.
Sure thing. And I'm going to take the easy one. I'll start it with the game tonight. Just because the number one in Kansas City is supposed to be out in Hollywood Brown. Who knows how long that's supposed to go on for. But this one's not much of a sleeper, but I just think it's a great just play for the week going forward. And just I think he's being drafted a little bit lower just based on what he did at the Combine, and that is Xavier Worthy, the former Texas Longhorn, the speedster himself. If I'm a betting man, and I am, I think there'd be a big time play, at least like a 40-yard bomb, 50-yard bomb to him tonight. Just kind of expose him to the world and be like, hey, this guy's dangerous. Not like a Tyreek Hill. I don't want to go that far. He's a rookie, but he has that similar speedster skill set. I think he's a better route runner than Tyreek was at this time in his career. But yeah, my first one is Xavier Worthy, especially now, even if you play like the daily fantasy and stuff like that. I think he's a great pickup for just this week in general. If you're including Fridays or Thursdays and Fridays in your slate. But yeah, just on a general year-round thing, I mean, Rashee Rice is there. I get it, but I think him and Hollyworthy and Brown kind of have that similar setup. So I'm buying as much Xavier Worthy stock as I can, and he was a stud at Texas, and I have no problem betting that he's going to be a stud for Kansas City as well.
I feel like there's two ends of the speed spectrum, right? There's your Kevin White and your John Ross that ran the 4.2s, and then there's your Tyreek Hill. Like, there's freakishly fast and effective on the football field, and there's who put this track star on the football field. And I think a lot of people are projecting that Xavier Worthy is going to be closer to that of Tyreek Hill than maybe a John Ross. I mean, those are two polar opposites. But, yeah, I think he could have some serious – he's got opportunity, right? I always talk about that on this channel. Like, What's the target competition? Well, it's 32-year-old Travis Kelce. It's not Hollywood Brown tonight. Rashee Rice has some off-the-field issues to sort out. And that's kind of it. Like, it's pretty wide open. Mahomes made it work, but it's not like he's going up against a ton of guys that are getting 120 targets a year, right?
Yeah. And it's even if Brown is there, then it's like, okay, well, they both can rip the top off a defense. So it's like you can't just sit and focus on one and make sure you don't get beat deep on either one. Like, you could see it as them both on each side. You got Rashee Rice working on either side on the inside, maybe from them. Rashee Rice isn't slow either. Like, I think he's got the best hands. And after the Chiefs last year, you need people who can catch the football, which is MVS and Kadarius Toney did not have that quality. Yeah. So, I mean, how many more? I think it was at least 5 or 6 more touchdowns Mahomes would have had if his guys don't drop walking touchdowns.
That first week alone was
who
bad.
Knows?
Yeah.
Right. Like, I know MVS had at least 2. Tony had multiple ones. Even probably Rashee had some. I can't bring them up exactly, but man, there's not a lot of target share there that he has to compete for. Like you said, Kelce is there, but he's going to be a staple. He'll get his catches, but he's not going for 12 for 110 and 3 touchdowns. Like, they're still a pass first team and an electric offense, and I think they're I like you said, opportunity and who's he competing with, and it's not no one that impresses me a ton to be concerned.
Yeah, it's kind of an open tryout right now. Like you said, Kelce's the cornerstone, but also if this team's trying to hit somebody over the top of the head, that's not Travis Kelce, and Hollywood Brown's out. So I love it. Week 1 especially, jumping on Xavier Worthy by any means necessary. I'm going to go with kind of a Swiss Army knife in a not great offense. I'm talking Rashid Shaheed. He's actually the man in the thumbnail today. 5 performances of at least 15 fantasy points in a standard PPR format from last season. Now, I used the term Swiss Army knife, and did you watch Hard Knocks at all by chance?
Of your Chicago Bears?
Yeah.
I did.
Okay, you did. All right.
Velus Jones. He's a Velus Jones, or is that the comparison?
Essentially, right? And I think he's a more productive Velus Jones because Jones has a lot of drop issues. Shaheed didn't have much of those. But the point that was being made specifically by their running back coaching staff was if you are willing to be versatile and you can have a role in multiple aspects of this game, whether it be out of the run, out of the pass, you want to be a gunner in special teams, you will get used. Rashid Shaheed in a not great offense outside of Chris Olave, and Juwan Johnson had a couple flashes, and Kamara, I guess, when he's available. But the consistency there in all my statements is that it's an inconsistent offense. there's a lot of opportunity, just like with Worthy, except this is not a great offense with not a great quarterback. Shaheed could break in, and honestly, following the rookie year he had, I don't want to say he's going to have 1,000 yards, but I think he could have 1,000 all-purpose yards if they use him out of the backfield a little bit more. He only had a handful of rushes, but this is a guy whose bread and butter when he was fighting to make the roster was on special teams, so someone who has breakaway speed. Michael Thomas's availability is always up in the air. I think there's a lot of opportunity, and again, a not great offense for Shaheed to just do whatever he wants.
Yeah, I don't mind the comparison. I can fully get on that. I'm looking something up quick because I think I can even further your point. I don't think Michael Thomas is on the Saints.
Are you serious?
I think he's off the Saints now.
That's
I might be wrong.
I've been out of the loop then. I haven't been watching too much Saints stuff. That wouldn't shock me.
Yeah, I just looked. He is currently a free agent. Probably because of all those injuries, he's a free agent, so you don't even have to worry about him.
Right, so it's a lot.
But
yeah.
And if you ever heard me on my podcast with MV3 and in our group chat, I am an avid Chris Olave hater because I am a diehard Michigan fan. I also just think he's an overrated player, but that's not the point. I'm not getting there. But it just furthers your point of him being a Swiss Army knife. Almost like taking the place, but in reverse because he was a wide receiver first, correct?
Yeah.
So I think you could, as that Swiss Army knife kind on how Alvin Kamara was used, but now Kamara's kind of he's getting up there in age, not like he's not old, but Kamara has been around a bunch. I still think but you have two guys who can catch the ball either out of the backfield or quick screens or some jet sweeps, those jet touch passes. You got both those guys who you got to worry about. I don't like the quarterback. I can tell you that much. I don't like that, but you don't have to need him to get those two specifically in space on those jet sweeps, on a quick bubble screen. You don't really have to rely on your quarterback. Just get the guy the ball and get out of the way.
And I think that's kind of the spot they're in right now, right? Like Derek Carr, not a great season, lots of controversy with, there's fights between him and different receivers, get me the ball, just lackluster performances. But I think Shaheed is somebody who can make it easy for that team to move the ball down the field 6, 7, 8 yards at a time. And the fact of the matter is, if you look at this Saints team, yes, the South isn't very strong, but it's gotten a lot better with the Bucs and the Falcons, especially this year. They're going to be working from behind a lot. They're going to have to throw the ball. I really don't care if it's 40-21 as long as Rashid Shaheed gets 7 receptions for 90 yards. I could care less. Right. So I think that situation is going to happen a lot.
Yeah, you're not really looking at the Saints to be a 9, 10, 11, 12 team wins, but 4 or 5 and scoring 20 plus points, it's not out of the realm of possibility. It's not a lot to ask for either.
Yeah.
So I don't hate that. I like it actually.
And I want to bring him up too because and you'll see this with a few of these players. I'm getting to the end of my 12-team drafts. We're in rounds 15 and 16, and Shaheed's still on the board. So it's not like the price is really there. You might be able to pick him up off waivers. If you are making a trade, he's not going to be the centerpiece. You could probably say, oh, I'm looking to upgrade at tight end. Could you throw Shaheed in there? And a lot of owners are not really going to bat their eyes at it. They're going to be like, yeah, sure, whatever. He's an end-of-the-bench guy right now. At least that's how he's been valued. His ADP was very, very, very high this year. So, yeah, I think that's an opportunity for sure.
Hurt?
What's up?
Wasn't he hurt a little bit too this preseason?
Yeah, so that hurt the stock. And then just coming into the season, I don't think people are too attracted to anybody on the Saints, to be honest. Like, Olave's up there. But, yeah, hurt, not in a great offense. But I think you look big picture, and there's a lot of – I'm a huge Shaheed dynasty fan. I got him as a throw-in for a trade. I think 5-year picture, there's a lot of chances there.
I like it. I like it.
All right, who we got next?
All right, so I'm going to kind of double up just because they come from the same team, actually. And it's a team that last year was very, I would call it anemic on offense.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they addressed their quarterback situation, despite adding your former quarterback.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the Pittsburgh Steelers, and specifically, I'm looking at Jaylen Warren and Mr. Pickens himself, George Pickens. Couple reasons. I'll start with Jaylen Warren. I don't know what the Steelers want to do with Najee. Now they brought in a new coordinator, Arthur Smith, who's a much better coordinator than he is head coach.
Yeah, that's true.
So I don't know what their plan is, but I know they didn't pick up Najee Harris's fifth-year option.
Correct.
That could just be a formality, but it's cause for concern of like this whole age of running backs. What's going on with them? What are teams doing? Mostly don't get a second contract, like unless you're a Jonathan Taylor. Saquon didn't get a second contract with his own team. I'm trying to think of some other. I mean, there's just running backs are different now. Najee fits kind of more the old style,
right?
Kind of bruiser. Jaylen Warren's a little bit more of a do-it-all, can catch it a little bit. And I think in general they'll have a split carry this year, but I don't know. I think they're going to want to push Warren a little bit to see can he be the guy going forward, because we don't have to pay him anymore. We can let Najee walk, draft a rookie to kind of flip-flop roles. They did this with Lev Bell and James Conner. Like, Lev Bell was great. James Conner was there. They took a flyer on the Pittsburgh kid. He did well, and then he went to Arizona and played well.
Right.
So they have this, like, Pittsburgh has this history of having a decent running back and then kind of having his replacement and then replacing as they go. And I think that happens with Warren, and I think it's similar with George Pickens. Like, Deontay Johnson is gone, so the target monster underneath is gone. Pat Freiermuth is still there, but he's been more of a better blocker than he has been pass catcher. I love Freiermuth. I just love his name. But he's not a Travis Kelce scaring me away from targets.
He'll get 5 or 6 a game. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I don't think he's bad. But then you also have like the rookie Roman Wilson from my Wolverines. I'm not sure how he's going to adjust. I think he fits that style well. Coming from, like, I think Pittsburgh wants to run the ball more. Arthur Smith, as I touched on, how great he was for Tennessee when LaFleur left in, I believe, 2020. Mm-hmm. And that Titans team with Henry and Tannehill and Jonnu Smith, they all had career years.
Oh, yeah.
I don't see, like, Tannehill's was never some great quarterback, nor do I think Wilson or Fields is, whoever they want to go with.
Right. Good system, though.
But,
yeah.
Good system. He's proven he can use decent weapons. Granted, he didn't do that in Atlanta, which is just hilarious, but the quarterback in Atlanta was bad until this offseason. So I could see both of them kind of, like, people are going to pass on Warren because he's in the committee. Pickens is the clear-cut number one, but he's got Russell Wilson and Justin Fields probably throwing in the ball. So it's like, but I think Arthur Smith can bring that Tennessee offense, kind of what LaFleur did to Green Bay. He kind of took it over. He was a prodigal son of that of sorts, but now he's going back to his roots and just focusing on offense. So I like that. Those two specifically out of that offense. I don't really like anyone else in the offense.
Yeah.
Because there's just not a lot of proven talent there. But both of those guys have been there for at least 2 years now, and yeah, I'll double up and take Jaylen Warren and George Pickens any day. I got a decent amount of stock in both of them. More Warren. More Warren for Dynasty.
Good. Yeah.
Pickens for this year.
Yeah, you made a lot of great points there. I mean, I was thinking in my own backyard when you talk about how replaceable running backs can be. Look at my own backyard. DeAndre Swift is on his 3rd team already, right? Like, these guys will fly around the league if a team doesn't believe they are a bell cow, all-purpose back. And there's not many of those in the league anymore. Derrick Henry is going to be featured tonight. Like, he's one of those guys, and even he kind of had to adapt his game to be more of a pass catcher. Jonathan Taylor in his one really healthy year was somebody like that. But it's kind of that thunder and lightning combo, so I had to live with it halfway through last year when I'm screaming at the TV going, why does Jaylen Warren have 6 touches and Najee has 12? Well, because they're trying to stuff it through the goal line, and Matt Canada was making decisions. So, you know,
Ooh, that was a tough watch. Matt Canada was, and it's like, oh, everyone drafted Najee probably as a top 15 running back, and oh, well, guess what? Warren had half the touches that Najee has, but the same amount of points. It's like, oh man, he's so inefficient. So I don't know if that's the other thing. Najee was very inefficient last year. A lot of that I will solely be okay with putting on Matt Canada.
Right.
But how much would have it really cost them to pick up his 5th-year option?
Not much.
Like, not much. You can't imagine. Like,
the value's not there.
So,
it's a devalued position, and he is not top 10 of his own position. Yeah, no, I agree.
So, and like you said for DeAndre Swift, like he's never played bad for any of the teams he's been on.
Nope.
Like he was Jahmyr Gibbs' Walmart version with the Lions, and what did they do? They went and got Jahmyr Gibbs, and it's like, why did you get him? You guys basically just traded Montgomery and Swift, and it was like you just took an extra step to get there. But I always liked DeAndre Swift, and then he got moved or didn't get re-signed, and I'm like, I liked him there.
Yeah. So why is Najee still? Yeah. So that's exactly why Najee. I don't want to like assume, but if he were to have shocked the market, I would not be shocked if he got no calls back. I don't think there are a lot of teams stabbing at. I want this 5th year. I want essentially to take over as the 5th year option for this guy who hasn't really been efficient. And I don't know if there's a position that's more disrespected in the market right now than running backs. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. You know what? I just thought of this as you're talking about that. Like, he's not going to reset no market, but I could easily see him going to step into like a David Montgomery role.
Yeah.
Like, I think Montgomery's in a contract year. He'll probably be let walk unless he signs for cheap in Detroit. You could bring in Najee and be like, yo, you're just gonna pound the goal line for us when Gibbs needs a break. Like,
right.
That's the kind of how I see his future. I don't think he's a bad player, but he's going to be a committee guy from here on out. And Warren is still, you don't know yet.
Yeah.
So that's why he's one of my biggest sleepers in Dynasty and this year. I think he's just going to get a lot more play with Najee being a contract year, already not coming back unless they tag him, which I can't imagine.
I would doubt it. Yeah.
And Warren's got, I think, another two years of control. So, yeah, man, just I believe. I could be really wrong.
Yeah,
but that's how I feel.
Doors wide open, right? If you're a running back that can
100%.
catch passes in 2024 and you're relatively efficient on the ground and you have some breakaway speed, which I'm not going to say Warren's lightning fast, but I mean, compared to Najee Harris, he looks like a blur out there, right? We do have a couple questions in the chat. Again, if you guys are just jumping in, I'm Cory. This is Armchair Fantasy Football. We do have T-Bone from the MV3 Podcast rolling in here, and we're kind of just going to talk about sleepers ahead of the season opener. So I see there's 6 of you in here right now. We've got 4 likes. Let's get it up to 10. Feel free to like and subscribe. We are live streaming about 4 to 5 times a week, dedicating a lot of time to you guys. And then, of course, in the live chat, we do have the MV3 Podcast link. Make sure you subscribe to them as well for weekly episodes. So Derek is in the chat. Good to see you, Derek. Thanks for your patience. We have Rashee Rice against the Ravens tonight, or Malik Neighbors against the Vikings. If you guys could put point format, that'd be great. I'm assuming this is PPR. T-Bone, I'll give my 2 cents, and then by all means, lean left if I go right, or vice versa if you have any disagreement. I'm thinking Rashee Rice, a decent amount of, I should say, not much target competition because of the spot he's in right now. We made the same argument for Xavier Worthy, but a pretty difficult defense that he's going up against. Malik Neighbors, pretty easy defense he's going up against in Minnesota. They were bottom 5 in the league last year in passing yards allowed for the majority of it, but bad offense. So we have receiver on good offense in Rice against tough defense, and receiver on bad offense against bad defense. Tiebreaker, I'm going to give it to who's got the better quarterback directly throwing it to him, and I'd probably go Rice over Neighbors. It's tough. I think Neighbors is a better talent. He's a great prospect, but he's in a tough spot right now. So I'm leaning Rashee Rice.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree with you. However, I do have on my screen the preview of the Chiefs and Ravens.
Sure.
And it's pouring rain.
Really?
Yep, they got this beautiful black man with a mic with nothing on, just a bald head, and he's just getting drenched right now. So I'm inclined to say Rashee Rice because I think he is the better fit.
Right.
But I also, week 1, I've seen good players on bad offenses succeed. I've seen Devontae Adams do that last year in the Raiders. Similar situation. Really, him and Jacoby were the only guys throwing it to him. The only 2 targets. Bad quarterback with Aiden O'Connell and God knows who else they wanted to
Oh,
in there.
yeah. They just went through a committee last year. Yep.
Yeah, so I feel like New York has a little bit better situation than that, but I might give it to Neighbors just because he is the rookie. You don't know what you're going to get out of him. Rashee Rice, you have an idea, but he is in the better offense. So I'm inclined to go Neighbors just because it's week 1. It might not be raining there. It's raining in Kansas City right now. Not that Kansas City can't throw the ball in the rain,
right.
But I think if you see the weather, you don't know what Neighbors and Daniel Jones look like. It could be really bad.
Yeah.
It could be bad. But I think at week 1, and you don't know, like the Chiefs didn't come out well last year, week 1. They lost to the Lions.
The September Chiefs are not a great football team. Yep.
No, and I mean T Swift is there. We talked in the pre-show.
Mm-hmm.
T Swift is there today, but it's raining. It's first week. It's first game of the season. You're probably going to be a little tight. Like you just probably are, opposed to a Sunday noon game against the Vikings. Plus, that defense on the Vikings not good. So as much as I would probably say go Rice, I'm willing to take the bet on week 1 and be like, hey, let's see what Neighbors got. Maybe he becomes a stud. You don't know.
I like it. The one thing I suck at checking is weather. And it bites me. It bites me bad. Like, if you're betting against a certain running back that you feel like, maybe he'll only get 10 or 15 touches, but it is pouring out there, 10 to 15 just became 20, right? Like,
right.
You've got unique situations where the Chiefs are able to stick to their guns. I remember the insane weather game where I think Mac Jones threw the ball like 3 times and Josh Allen still threw it like 20, like 40-mile-an-hour winds. Rain is whipping. But I'm going to lean Neighbors week 1 also, just because if you're going to take a flyer on someone that you do feel like is a better prospect, what better time to do it? Every game counts, but you're not worrying about the playoffs for another about 3 months. If you mess up week 1 is a crapshoot, by the way. Like, I bet on sports from time to time.
Oh, yeah.
I am not even logging into Prize Picks until next week because there's so many random things going on. There's certain ways that you can lean depending on how last year went, but there are teams that are going to try things that we have no tape on, like because they've had so much time to prep, right? So yeah, Derek, I think we're leaning Neighbors, especially because of the weather. And again, that's a game between 2 not great football teams. I guess either could be working from behind, but I would say they might go pretty throw heavy in New York if Sam Darnold and the Vikings, I can't even say that confidently, come out and get ahead of them. But yeah, I would go Neighbors too. Cameron's in here, says, do you guys mind helping me with a flex for this week? PPR, only 1 flex spot. Options for said flex are Roma Dunze against the Titans, Xavier Worthy against Baltimore tonight in the rain. We have DeAndre Hopkins for... Is that DeAndre Hopkins?
Tennessee.
Yeah, DeAndre Hopkins for Tennessee. So. Then we got a couple backs, Tony Pollard, Chuba Hubbard, and Jameson Williams. I'm going to hex Jameson Williams right away because I'm yet to see consistency from him, and I'm a pretty conservative fantasy player. Are you good with that? I'm keeping Jameson out of this.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So Chuba Hubbard, Tony Pollard in a brand new offense that, again, has been run-heavy in the past. Don't really know how they're going to look this year, but they sold on Derrick Henry, and they did invest in a new receiver in Calvin Ridley alongside Hopkins. I might avoid the Titans altogether. I don't know. Not a great offense.
Until you know what they're coming with. Like you said, they signed Ridley. They have Hopkins. Pollard is there. Tajay Spears is there.
Yep.
Who's also supposed to be another running back by committee, and kind of like Pollard's kind of the old guard. And Spears was drafted, I think, in the same draft as Warren, if I'm not mistaken. So they're both kind of that similar contract. But they let Henry go to roll with Pollard and Spears. So I would, until you kind of see what they're going, I would probably nix both of those Tennessee Titans, like you said.
Yeah.
I'll take on Chuba. He's better than people think, but he's on such a bad offense as well. But again, that's another new offensive, new head coach and coordinator. He's been on the team, him and Bryce Young, for the last 2 years. Well, Chuba since McCaffrey left.
Correct. Yep.
He's not bad, but he's inefficient, and you don't know what he looks like in this new offense. Honestly, for me, it's between Odunze and Worthy. And I mean, do you have a feeling either way on one of those two? I'm pretty much, for me, I'm looking at Odunze and Worthy.
Yeah,
especially as we just talked about Worthy, but a little bit. If you see the picture I sent you, in Discord, in our DMs,
yep.
you could. It just popped across of what the weather looks like above the stadium.
Okay. See,
so
that makes me want to think Odunze, but my pushback to that is two things. I understand, Bears fan, by the way, before I say any of this, but
yeah.
Caleb Williams, for as good of a prospect as he is, I am very reluctant to bet for or invest anything in a rookie quarterback making their NFL debut in week 1. I don't know if there's a more pressure-filled statement outside of you are the starting quarterback in this year's Super Bowl than the thing I just said. On top of that, target competition might be a bigger issue in Chicago than anywhere else right now when you look at the situation of Odunze. He is competing with a 6-time Pro Bowler in Keenan Allen. He is competing with DJ Moore coming off a career year who is now the richest Bear in history. Cole Kmet usually is good for about 70 to 80 targets a year, somewhere around that range. They brought in Gerald Everett, who usually gets around that as well, if a little bit less maybe. I'm not saying I don't know where Odunze is going to fit in. I just don't know how involved he is in week 1 of an offense for a team that maybe they'll run the ball a little bit more to try and ease Caleb in. I don't know what's going to happen. There's so many unknowns. This team just slapped a ton of talent together. I'm sure Odunze will have a good rookie year. I don't know if it's going to be smooth sailing. So I want to lean Worthy, but now I'm looking at the picture you sent me, and maybe I open up the Tennessee door again. Like Hopkins.
Yeah, maybe. I'd be curious to see like what the makeup of the rest of the team is. If I had to go one of those other ones, I'm probably going Hopkins just because he's a savvy vet. You can rely on him you could rely on him day in and day out.
Yeah.
And like you were kind of saying about Odunze, trying to have like a seasoned quarterback balance that many mouths to feed in an offense is tough.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're asking a rookie to do it, and DJ Moore just got his. It might be easier because DJ Moore just got his new contract. There's lightning and everything. So this game might not even. This game might be delayed.
Yeah.
So they might wait till it's clear, and I'm back on the Worthy train. So, I'd probably say Worthy just because of everything we said. Even if the weather's not great, it's what we said. Like we love him week 1 just based on opportunity and availability. Tough defense, but I'm not even sure that they're going to focus on Worthy. They would still have to key in on Rice and Kelsey, who I think they would assume, hey, if anyone's going to beat us week 1, let the rookie beat us. So I could see Worthy having more one-on-one opportunities or more opportunities to get deep than someone else. And like you said, Rome, I don't know. I'd probably stay Worthy just because we're high on him this week and in general. But yeah, I don't think he's going to be the key that is like they're going to either try to stop the run in Pacheco, or they're going to try to stop Kelsey or Rice and let Worthy try to prove that he deserves to be here. Welcome to the NFL, bud. You're one-on-one. If you don't make plays, your team's going to lose.
Right. And
so,
yeah, I like that a lot.
Yeah, I lean Worthy, regardless of the weather at this point, because they just click to it and it's lightning all over. So
they're delaying it. Yeah, they'll probably delay it.
Which I assume so. And like I said, I don't have it in my, I don't have like the audio, so I don't know what they're saying.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I don't know what they're saying, but I just saw it and I assume it's, oh, hey, the game might be delayed an hour or 30 minutes, whatever.
Right.
So I lean Worthy.
Yeah, I lean it as well. Hopkins, like they were not really too reluctant once Levis got in there and they started to kind of decrease Henry's carries and give it more to Tyjae Spears. They were allowing Will Levis to throw the ball down the field a decent amount. I'm not worried about that. I am worried about, is Jalen Johnson going to shadow DeAndre Hopkins or is he going to shadow Calvin Ridley? Probably Ridley. With Worthy, before we leave this and go to the next sleeper and answer a couple more questions, am I crazy, even if it's downpouring, for thinking the man who ran the fastest 40-yard dash in history might get some rushes? Like, why would you not get the ball in his hands as much as possible?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Like we said, when we said, oh, who's a sleeper, and I brought up Worthy.
Yep.
those jet passes, Andy Reid is one of the most creative offensive minds in the NFL, if not the most creative.
Mm-hmm.
And he just finds a way. He finds a way to get Kelsey the ball. He found a way to get Tyreek the ball. And if that's how we think he's going to be used, why would he not be also getting maybe some rushes in there as well?
100%.
There's no reason to think he wouldn't be.
The creative mind of Andy Reid will come through. We've got a Cap for Life in here saying, gentlemen, don't forget to set your lineups. I will not. Looks like we might have more time to set our lineups if this thing gets delayed. He's saying, I've got Aguilar, Bateman, and P. Ryan all catching one pass from the first quarter. Does anybody know if Justin Watson is active? I saw a big old Q next to his name.
That is a deep cut, my man.
Yeah.
That is a deep cut. Is Jerick McKinnon not playing? You got confidence in Samaje Perine after being cut by the Broncos.
McKinnon is a free agent.
Signing with KC.
Yep.
Okay, so they didn't bring him back. Okay, I didn't know that. I don't keep up with the Chiefs' depth backup and third string running backs.
That's understandable.
Yeah, as much as I know ball, geez, I don't know that deep a ball.
Yeah. Watson.
Let's see. Doppler rating. Oh, it is red right now, but it looks clear after the fact. So
okay.
It looks like sometime after 6:30 Eastern. So my guess is the game starts around 7:30.
Yeah.
Honestly, it might not be delayed because I don't know what the time the game actually
I think 7:15 is what they were shooting for. Yeah, 7:15, 7:20.
So yeah, it might be a little bit later, but they just showed the Doppler and 6:30. They're in the deep of it right now. It's supposed to get clear up, and it doesn't look like it's an all-encompassing storm. So
yeah, I
think they're going to be okay. Who knows what's going on after that? But yeah, I think you're safe. But yeah, they cleared the stadium so far. Everyone's out in the concourse and whatnot. So
makes sense. Yeah, I'm seeing Justin Watson. It looks like he'll play. I don't see anything next to his name anymore. But we can keep an eye on that for you. Yeah, P. Ryan. Yep. So I didn't even realize he moved over until like a week ago. So yeah, just like crazy. Yeah, we still kind of got to get to know the rosters too. It's the weird part of the season where you see somebody make
some guys got cut. Yeah.
Yeah, you see someone make a 7-yard catch on an out route, and you're like, oh, he's on the Jets. Like, you know. I'm not too sure. I know everybody and where they're at the moment either. Let's see. We got a couple more here. Cameron says full squad is a 12-team PPR, and then we'll get back to the sleepers. 9th pick in the draft, you went Chase, Jahmyr Gibbs, Josh Jacobs, Patrick Mahomes, Dalton Kincaid, Deontay Johnson, Rome Odunze, Xavier Worthy, Tony Pollard, DeAndre Hopkins, Chuba Hubbard, and Jameson Williams. Anything else, if it helps?
Yeah, we kind of went over that one.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he was choosing one flex. Yeah, there's nobody else I'd pick with. Yeah, I think we're definitely leaning Worthy, whether or not. And it looks like the weather should clear out. Oh, we've got Johnny in here. How's it going, man? CMC and ETN as running backs 1 and 2. T. Higgins, Nico Collins as wide receivers 1 and 2. PPR, do I keep Olave there? Oh, this is a great question for T-Bone. Do we trust Chris Olave? Or switch him out with David Montgomery, James Conner, or George Pickens? PPR, I'm typically leaning receiver. I wouldn't hate your Pickens pick here, but again, a lot of unknown factors in Pittsburgh right now. How is Russ going to gel with them? Montgomery, we're relying on a touchdown. I'm between Olave and Pickens out of those 4.
When it comes in terms of talent, I think it's Olave. One of those just opportunity in volume. Like,
it's very mature of you.
There's not. Yeah, I know, right? I don't like where he went to school. All right, but yeah, it's a bad offense, but he is the number one bona fide stud there. His first 2 years, he has put in back-to-back 1,000 yards. So like he could easily catch 7 for 70, and you're gonna be like, all right, that's fine. Like Pickens, you don't, like you said, like I said, I have a hope of what this Pittsburgh offense looks like.
Right.
I'm not sure, but I think Olave has shown more in terms of reliability, at least for week 1. I wouldn't be surprised if by the year's end George Pickens overtakes that.
Yeah.
But week 1, I'm gonna roll with the guy who I know will at the very least catch the football, or is gonna have more opportunities to catch the football.
I like that a lot. And then we'll just catch up on these last couple. Andy's in here. What's up, man? Good to see you. Derek saying, thanks for the tip. I'll probably go Neighbors. I didn't know about the weather either. Yeah, that's fine. And then Andy's saying, I want the Ravens to win, but can't Wait to start Mahomes in 2 leagues tonight. Yeah, so as a Bears fan who has watched some pretty poor football his entire life, I kind of just sold my soul to the fantasy devil. And, like, I will root against my own team if Justin Jefferson is playing them. Like, that's a spot where I'm at right now, and I'm completely okay with that. But good to see you guys all in. We are going over week 1 sleepers and guys that you can maybe even pick up off the waiver wire or include as, like, a back-end trade piece. I said Rashid Shaheed. T-Bone had Xavier Worthy and then Jalen Warren. So is it my turn? I think you've got 2. I've got 1 so far.
Yeah, no, I have 3 because I went Worthy, Pickens, and Warren because I doubled up with the Steelers. So
fair.
So yep. So yeah, you got 1 or 2 or whatever you want to do. It's all you.
Yeah, we'll rattle 2 off here. We'll go under center with the QB10 from 2023. He gets a lot of hate, and I'm not saying he's the best thing since sliced bread, but Baker Mayfield deserves some respect. He's only owned in 31% of leagues after finishing as the QB10 last season. He still has one of the more reliable, and he won't have it for long, 1-2 punches out wide in the entire league. You've got Mike Evans, 10 straight 1,000-yard seasons, and Chris Godwin, who has hit the mark in 4 of the last 5 years. Great start this year against a Washington defense. I know they made some changes, but that secondary allowed a league-high 262 passing yards a game last season. Not really any effective pass rushers now that they decided to get rid of Montez Sweat. I know they have Bobby Wagner back there now, but I would say Baker Mayfield, for what he's worth, the fact that 2/3 of leagues have him available, and he was a 4,000-yard passer last year, didn't make a ton of mistakes relative to years past. I don't know. I like him. I think he's in a good spot.
Yeah, I don't hate the Baker pick. One of my other guys is a quarterback, and it's a similar. He's not getting hate, but he's just. I've seen him go undrafted in a lot of different formats, and I'm like, I don't know why. And we can get into that, but no, I like Mayfield. I like Baker as a person. I think he's just kind of like a rebel bad boy. Wow. I loved when he put the Oklahoma flag down at Ohio
the Kansas
State.
encounter.
Really cool.
Yeah.
I loved it. Yeah, the Kansas. He's like, "What's up?" And they're like, "Nah."
What's up, kids?
Like, yeah. And he's like, "Oh, okay, I'm about to go ball.
I'm going to 52-0 you guys."
Yeah, and then when he kind of had the resurgence when he went on 36-hour notice and went and balled out for the Rams 2 years ago, like, I don't know. I like his moxie. Like, he's a better Gardner Minshew. I like the way they carry themselves. So I'm all good on. I am perfectly good on a Baker Mayfield train.
Yeah, I think he's not going to win you leagues, but he's also, if you're somebody who drafts and really likes to sit back, I like elite quarterback play, at least in a fantasy sense. So I'm out there getting Josh Allen, Mahomes, Lamar. Say what you want about his turnovers, but fantasy-wise, he rushes a lot and gets the tush push. Jalen Hurts, like, I'm jumping for them in rounds 3 and 4. But if you want to sit back and still get someone who's fringe top 10, Baker Mayfield's going to get the job done. I'll go back-to-back here, and then we'll go to your quarterback pick because I've got 2 guesses, and I'm kind of curious. You're going to hate me. Another Ohio State guy. I've got Jackson Smith-Njigba, not just in spite of you.
Hate that one.
I did not plan this. But target competition. So obviously DK Metcalf there, right? They've had a couple tight ends flying in and out. I do expect Tyler Lockett, who is 32 now, by the way. I do expect him to take a step back. He has protected his body more than anybody I know in the league. He doesn't take hits, I know. But at some point, it's a physical game, and you're going to see wear and tear. And that's a first-round pick who I don't think was used a whole lot last year. He was averaging 6 targets a game in the last 6 games of 2023. It's not a lot. Had a couple touchdowns in the final 4 games. I just expect more involvement, and that's another guy who is going undrafted. If you're in Dynasty and you're betting on 5-year upside, until the Seattle Seahawks go out there and make another big move for a wide receiver, whether it be in the draft, free agency, or the trade market, he's got to be the 2, right?
Yeah.
Until otherwise is done.
Yeah.
Like, they could make a move, and I could be wrong. But right now, he should be the presumed 2 for the future.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I don't disagree with that because he's not going to overtake DK, but he can easily, kind of slide to that other role. Yeah, I don't think that's a wild thing.
Okay. Yeah, not a stretch. I'm not saying he's going to move mountains, but I think that's someone that is, again, likely available, or you can pin to the back end of a trade. And if he doesn't do well, you didn't ask much for him anyway, or you didn't give up much for him. And if he does do well, you just bet on upside and won a little bit. Derek's saying, how do you guys feel about Leggett? So over in Carolina, there is actually a decent amount of target competition there now with Deontay, and again, he's getting older, but Adam Thielen. I don't know.
Yep.
I'm not going to go out and deal for him. I want to see how he does. I think he's a good prospect.
Yeah, Dynasty, I'm all fine with picking him up because obviously Deontay Johnson and Thielen are more on the back half of their careers opposed to the front half. So he could definitely make waves more long term.
Mm-hmm.
And it would be right now it's more of a show me kind of thing opposed to I'm gonna go out there and like start him week 1.
Right.
I don't know. Yeah, but I can go into my quarterback.
Yeah,
to see,
let's go into that.
What is your guess? What are your 2 guesses?
I have Jared Goff and Kirk Cousins as my 2 guesses.
It's Jared Goff. It's Jared Goff.
Woo!
Yeah, that's a good pull right there. Yeah,
Thank you.
And I was trying to see like it's not that he's going undrafted in like he's either going undrafted or he's going so late. It's like, okay, you love Gibbs, Amon-Ra, and Laporta are all being drafted within the first 2 rounds.
Yep.
Guys, someone has to throw that dude the ball.
Yeah, someone's going to get those points too.
He, like, as you said, Mayfield finished top 10. Goff finished 7th, I believe.
Yep, he was 7.
And I'm like, yeah, there was one league that I love this in, and I can't, like, I don't know the percentage on what he's rostered or not rostered. Because I looked at a couple leagues that I'm in, and he wasn't available, but I play in more 12 and 14 team leagues anyway, so I know the majority of people are in 8, 10, and 12, or 10 and 12 specifically. But there's one that I picked him up in for Anthony Richardson as my starting quarterback, and I don't know if Richardson's going to stay healthy.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, if Richardson, I'm willing, like, Richardson was at a good value in, like, the 5th or 6th. I was like, all right, if he plays well, he could easily finish QB number 1.
Oh, yeah.
Like, if he's healthy, which he only played less than 3 games last year, so that's not, like, even close to a for sure thing.
Yep.
But I was willing to take that risk because then I got Goff in, like, the 14th round. And
Which
I'm
is
like,
insane.
I'm like, everyone is so high on that offense, rightfully so, but not on the quarterback. I'm like, Goff consistently has just shown up and slung the ball around.
Yeah.
Even back in the Rams, he like when he had Kupp, Robert Woods, there's a third guy. I mean, it wasn't OBJ.
No.
It was back then. But Gurley was there. Like,
yeah,
that offense was humming, and Goff was the quarterback.
Yeah.
Goff is not a bad quarterback. And now he even has more weapons around him. And I'm like, yeah, I would. Even there's a couple Superflex leagues that I'm in. I'm like, yeah, I'll take Goff as my quarterback too. Like, why not? I don't know why he's. I don't talk about disrespect quarterbacks. Mayfield is up there, but I think Goff is even more disrespected based on his performance and the guys around him.
Mm-hmm.
So, Goff was my quarterback.
No, I love it. That's a lot to unpack too, because like you look around the North even, right? And I love Jordan Love. Those two had around the same season. Love is being drafted way higher. Caleb Williams has not played a game, and I have not done a draft yet where Goff has been picked before Williams, which is kind of crazy to me.
I haven't had one where Jaden Daniels wasn't picked before Goff.
Like, what are we doing?
I'm like, I get it. And like, I get it.
The upside, right? Yeah.
Jaden Daniels could easily be an Anthony Richardson. He's got the rushing ability.
Right.
None of them are as Anthony Richardson has more of the big body that Allen has. Not that, but Daniels has gotten hurt before.
Uh-huh.
Like, I get it. The rushing upside is there.
That's mainly it, I think. People are like, Jared Goff doesn't run the ball, so he can't be on my team. I love rushing quarterbacks, but QB7 is QB7. Like,
and also, the best quarterbacks of the last 25 years are Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady.
Yeah, who
None of them
don't exactly run.
Or Rodgers. So Rodgers
in
and
there
Mahomes
well.
are much more scramblers and might get you 20, 25 yards
up there.
Here or there. Maybe.
Yep.
Right. Like they're scramblers, but like the top tier of the top tier are a lot more Peyton Manning, pocket passer.
Yeah.
Brady, pocket passer. Like, yeah, then you got the athletes in Rodgers and Mahomes and some of those more gunslinger Brett Favre types, and it's like, okay, and now it's like, well, if he can't run, he's useless. And I'm like, yeah, but he's got like arguably the number one player at each position fantasy wise. Like Laporta's arguably the number one tight end. Weather looks great now, by the way.
Awesome.
Weather looks great.
It's gone. Xavier Worthy, hammer it.
Yeah. Yep. But Gibbs, like, arguably top 5. Amon-Ra, arguably top 5. It's like, yeah, guys, he's got a squad around him.
Oh yeah, he doesn't have to be great.
Which is why I understand why you're also thinking possibly Kirk Cousins, because he's got Bijan, Drake, and Pitts, also arguably top 7 at their positions.
Yep.
Drake London a little bit lower, Bijan probably higher than Gibbs, Pitts lower than Laporte, but like similar makeup.
Oh yeah.
So, and he was good. He had a good offense last year with Justin Jefferson when they both were on the field together. So, give me Jared Goff.
That's a phenomenal pick.
I love Jared Goff.
That's a phenomenal pick. I mean, it's to the point where, like, no, he doesn't look great doing it. He's not running for 50, 60 yards a game. But if you put an established quarterback who has shown he can lead a team to win football games, who I believe is fringe top 10 in the league right now, he doesn't have to be amazing because the guys around him are going to make plays. And we've seen that time and time again. Andy says, picked up Jaden Reed per your advice in one of my leagues last season. Great call, man. Yeah, no problem. I think that's the one this year. It's him or Dobbs. Watson needs to stay on the football field. I love Dontavion Wicks, but I'm not as high on him as I am Swiss Army knife, right? I love him. I think that's their Rashid Shaheed. They use him everywhere.
Yep. He won me a championship last year on that game that he had like 2 or 3 touchdowns late in the season.
Yep.
That pushed me over. Yeah, it was. I love Jaden Reed. I got a lot of stock in him this year. Pass on Watson a lot. There's just, I don't know what mouth they're going to feed in Green Bay. I think Jaden Reed is the best all-around player. Agreed. Like a young Randall Cobb. Like, is he going to run? What is he going to do?
Yep.
That's kind of Jaden Reed. I want to see that. I think Dobbs is going to take a bigger step forward than Watson. I just don't know with Watson's injury history what he's going to look like. I've liked what I've seen out of Dobbs and Jaden Reed more. And you still got Bo Melton, Dontavion Wicks, and both new tight ends or 2 young tight ends.
Yeah,
it's like, you don't know.
Year. Yeah.
And I think that's great. It's great for the Packers in general.
Yeah, they don't know really who their number 1 guy is, and that's honestly not a problem unless you start talking contracts, but that's like 2 years away for most of those guys. Ryan is saying, oh, okay, should I use Xavier Worthy tonight or Deontay Johnson against the Saints for the flex? I'll let you take first on this one, T-Bone. I'm gonna chew on it for a second.
Yeah, I like Deontay Johnson because he's gonna take those targets, but Thielen is there, and we saw early last year Bryce Young pepper Adam Thielen with targets.
Yeah,
I think he had like 12 catches for like 100 yards or something.
He went
early
crazy.
On. Like,
yep.
Yeah, and everyone's like, "Oh, Adam Thielen is still relevant," and it's like, yeah, kind of.
He got fed,
but yeah. we've kind of been a glazing Xavier Worthy this entire episode right now. So I'm not gonna go off it. I'm gonna stay Worthy now that I just saw the weather. It's cleared up. It'll be clear. It might be a little wet in the first half, but the speed kills, man. I don't give me the speedster all day with Patrick Mahomes slinging him the ball. So. Give me Worthy on that one.
I think I'm going to back you up on that too. Again, I'll keep going back to the same point in the word versatility. They're going to use him in a variety of ways. I really do think you've got someone with 4.21 speed that we've supposedly seen it, but when you look at least the combine, that's the fastest man we've seen at the NFL combine so far. They're going to find a way to use him. Deontay Johnson is still dealing with some target comp. I think Bryce Young could very well throw the ball 35, 40 times. They could beat the Saints. That might be an interesting pick, too, if I was betting in week 1, but I'm going to keep my wallet in my pocket here. Like, that could be something because the Saints aren't great on paper either. But, yeah, I'm going to go Xavier Worthy and back up T-Bone here.
Sure.
Andy is saying, okay. A lot of people, so he said Baker is very disrespected, and then a lot of people also still have kind of the bad stench on Goff from the Super Bowl a few years ago. And that's the other thing, right? People are like, oh, his team kicked him out. Okay, but he beat them last year, and they were a couple plays away from being in the bowl. So,
not even a couple plays. They executed to perfection, and the refs kind of botched it.
Yeah,
I like as a Packer fan, I'm not. It's weird for me as like an NFC North fan because now my college team's quarterback is now in Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, he tore his knee up, so I don't really have to deal with that this year in Minnesota being good.
Right.
I can't wait for him to be healthy. But also, I lived in Michigan for 2 years, so I got up front, look at the Lions multiple times. I've been to Ford Field. I like Detroit as a city and as a group of people.
Oh, yeah.
So, and they're always like bad news Bears, the terrible losers. Like, I hate the Bears. Like, even though I'm a Cubs fan and I share a lot of fandom with them, I hate the Bears. I don't know why. I hate the Bears, and I'll never like them until I watch like Hard Knocks, and I'm like,
how about the last 3 minutes of that? Did you see the last episode?
I did.
That was great.
And I'm like,
editing.
man, I don't need a reason to like the Bears.
Yeah,
right?
that's fair.
But as the dynasty guy, I got a lot of Caleb Williams stock.
Yeah.
So like I don't understand where people from 3 years ago are like, wow, Goff is still so bad. I'm like, Goff wasn't bad before that. He's been good after that.
Yep.
Good to great after that. He was led the down bad Lions as far as they did. Like. To playoff wins that have never been done. And they had Megatron and Stafford.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like he did what Stafford couldn't do with a Hall of Fame wide receiver. So it's like, I don't know where the hate comes from Jared Goff. I've always liked Jared Goff. So.
Yeah, I like that a lot. And Andy's saying the Lions were screwed even worse against Dallas. They were. That was a horrible, horrible football game.
And it was like, I remember thinking like, did he really report? And it's like, actually, we have full-on video of this guy being mic'd up and be like, I'm reporting. And it's like, okay. Flag, you didn't
confirmed,
report.
I heard you.
Wait, what? He literally gave him a thumbs up. And then it was like, well, I never said that. It's like.
You can't deny that.
Wait, what do you mean?
We have 50 cameras.
I didn't know that's what he meant. It's like, ref, that's your job to know that, man. Like, are you reporting? Like, they're all by you to like. I understand 3 or 4 of them were by him to do like a misdirection against Dallas, but it's like, well, I didn't know who was reporting. Well, the one guy is the only one who came up there and said, I'm reporting. And he was like, okay.
Sounds good.
And it was like, I mixed up the numbers. Bro, you have one job.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, wow. Okay.
5 seconds after the play, by the way. Like, the play was done. That was such a late call.
Touchdown.
Yeah.
Detroit was like, yes. And then,
wait a minute.
No, actually.
They've been screwed.
Sorry. And then it's okay. Then what happened to them?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
True. Ryan saying Goff is overrated. Yeah, I agree. I'm going to go over to Christian Kirk, somebody who set the wide receiver market a couple years ago and has had a couple 1,000-yard seasons in Jacksonville. I do think he's facing much less target competition this year. Gabe Davis comes in, but Calvin Ridley and Zay Jones, well over 120 targets, leave. They still have Evan Ingram, but I think it's Kirk, Ingram, Davis in that order. Trevor Lawrence, say what you will. I think he got overpaid, and I think considering how hyped up he was as a prospect 4 or 5 years ago, he hasn't really performed. That aside, Christian Kirk puts up numbers. He's been falling to me at like pick 85, pick 90, pick 95. Obviously, drafts are done, but I think right now, before they even snap the ball for the first time in Jacksonville, Christian Kirk is very undervalued, so I like him a lot.
Yeah, no, I don't mind that. I think a lot of it is similar. Like the stench on Lawrence has been he's supposed to be the greatest next coming. I'm like, yeah, but man, the football gods really kicked him in the nuts, giving him Urban Meyer his first year. Like
that was bad. That could have messed him over permanently.
Right, and now Doug Peterson. Like I think this is his make or break year. This would be his third year. This is his third year.
Yep.
Yeah. So this is his second year with Doug Peterson, third in the league. Doug Peterson is a QB guru. So I can see Trevor. I'm not like, oh my God, Trevor Lawrence is so bad. I'm not on that train yet. I hope I'm never on that train, but I think this is like the year like we make the decision like, is Trevor Lawrence going to be a certified backup, or is Jacksonville really going to have to start thinking like, oh, this guy might not be it?
Right.
I think this is the year we really determine not that he's going to come out and be the MVP or a top 5 quarterback. He doesn't need to be, but like he's got to make the right proper steps on which he should have been taking last year if they didn't screw him with Urban Meyer year 1.
Yeah. So. Yeah, I think he's still got some PTSD from year 1. But yeah, you pay him that type of money. He's a top 3 paid quarterback of all time now, and that's kind of a watered down statement because it's an arms race, right? Like right now it's Jordan Love, maybe a year later it'll happen again. But I agree with that. Like don't let the stench of Lawrence, which by the way, like if you look at him on paper, also a decent backup. I don't think he's near Goff or Cousins, especially with the squads that they have around them. But he's fine. Right. Yeah, so I think Kirk's a solid option. Again, I am Cory. This is Armchair Fantasy Football. We do have T-Bone from the MV3 Podcast on here right now. We'll get a couple more comments here. You will see in the live chat, we do have a link to the MV3 podcast. T-Bone goes on there every week around Wednesday. Occasionally, I will make appearances as well. So if you like just talking more football than fantasy and you want to get away from this world that I live in, probably way too much, especially this time of year, they have a lot of fun there, and I jump on with them from time to time. And Cat for Life saying, do I go New Orleans or Kansas City's defense? So New Orleans going up against the Panthers, kind of trying to pounce on a pretty weak opponent, referencing last year. And Kansas City going up against, would you call Baltimore a top 5 offense? If they're not top 5, they're definitely top 10, fringe, right around there.
Probably, yeah. I mean, adding, I don't know. I didn't see a report today about Mark Andrews on how his health is.
Ooh.
But they either way, they brought in Derrick Henry, who is playing.
Yeah.
So that offense is dangerous. I'm excited to see that. But Kansas City's a good defense. Honestly, I would try to look elsewhere. Mm-hmm. If there's just someone on the waiver wire playing like a Raven, like a Chargers, you can pull the Chargers out. I would much trust them against the Raiders, just because Jim Harbaugh's there, Mike Minter's there, or not Mike Minter. No, Minter's there. What am I talking about? Mm-hmm. That defense is probably going to be better than people think it is, and they still have Khalil Mack, the Bosa. They have guys in San Diego or Los Angeles Chargers, excuse me.
Yeah, all good. We know what you mean.
I would look more towards like a team like that opposed to starting either one of those, but that's just me personally. But if I had to pick, I'd probably go Kansas City.
Okay.
Because I think they're better overall, and I don't, like I said, I mentioned it earlier, first week could come out a little rocky. You don't know, nerves, big game. I think they're I don't know if they're in a delay, but they could have, they probably didn't get as warm with the weather because they cleared the field. So no, don't replace Justin Tucker. Don't do that.
I'm glad you saw that before. Tyler,
what are we talking about?
I think he's top 2, not 2. Yeah, I think we're going to stick with him. That's an offense that scores, and he has the NFL active. I know you're trolling. Definitely do not replace Justin Tucker.
Unless you got a guy named Jake Moody, who's a former Michigan kicker.
Then of course.
Then absolutely. But unless you have my personal favorite kicker in the NFL, no.
I love it. Do you have any sleeper picks left? I know we've gone through about 9 or 10 so far.
I got one, and it's not really. I can make it quick. It's not really a sleeper. It's just. I just think he's gonna have the last couple of years, it's a tight end. There's been a resurgence in the tight end market. Mm-hmm. When, Pitts came out a couple of years ago, this guy's a generational talent. I personally still haven't seen that, but whatever. But then you have Kincaid and Laporta last year, amongst others, but those two headlining everything. And now this year, you have another stud. Next year, you're going to have a stud. Tight ends are kind of coming around on being more Travis Kelce-esque of do-it-all kind of players and more bigger wide receivers. That's Brock Bowers. Now, it's a rookie, but I think they're going to use him more than just a hand-down tight end. I could see him in the slot, make a nickel corner have to go guard him. Bowers ain't little. He's a big dude. I think they could use his matchups well, and kind of split him out. Either maybe pair him on the same side as Devontae and put Jacoby on opposite him.
Right.
Again, it's not a great offense, but I think he is going to have an above average year for like a rookie tight end. I'm not saying he's going to come out and break Laporte, what Laporta did last year. Right. But Kincaid had, if you take out Laporta, Kincaid had a wonderful rookie season.
Oh yeah.
In a timeshare with the longtime starting tight end Dawson Knox, I think Bowers could there is no competition. Mm-hmm. Obviously, I mean, it's Michael Mayer who's, whatever.
They gave up on him already when they went out and took Bowers, essentially, right? Yeah.
Yeah, you don't take Bowers as a top, 20 pick, 15 pick, if you don't, at a tight end spot, if you don't think he's going to just ball out. Oh, kickoff is at 7:40 now.
Uh-huh.
So,
okay.
So delayed a little bit, like I said, about 30 minutes or so. But yeah, I would go, mine is Brock Bowers. You can usually get him as like tight end 9 to 11.
Mm-hmm.
So later, It's kind of those wait on it. Let Laporta, Kincaid, Pitts, Ingram, Kittle, Kelsey go.
Yeah.
I'm probably missing 2 or 3 there, but
Hawk maybe, but Hawk's in a bad offense now. Yeah.
Yeah, you're getting right there like, oh, do I want to wait on Hawk and be out for 6 weeks with his knee still?
Right.
Or take the rookie Bowers? It's like, well, give me the guy who's going to play at least. Like, now there's a tight end premium league where I drafted Bowers and Hawk and immediately put Hawk on the IR and picked up a defense, but that was different tactic.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Bowers has a more than capable year as a rookie tight end, and yeah, I think they're going to use them in a bunch of different ways in that offense because they're kind of strapped for like playmakers. So, that's my last one that I have.
Yeah, Bowers is a great dynasty pick in general. Again, 5+ year upside. I actually used him as the backbone of he wasn't involved in the trade, but I wanted to upgrade at tight end in year 2 for a dynasty. So I dealt Goddard and Brandon Cooks because this guy needed like a wide receiver 4 and Cooks was like my 7. Like the wide receiver depth was in a good spot. I was like, I don't need Brandon Cooks. He's 31, right? But I got older because I went Goddard and Cooks for Kittle and then we swapped picks. And I'm like, okay. I got a year and a half older with George Kittle, but I just have Brock Bowers sitting there. So when Kittle walks off into the sunset, I've got one of the better tight end prospects in recent memory. I love that pick. Also, I don't know if you know this, I am delusionally attached to Gardner Minshew. I love Gardner Minshew.
I made a comment at one of my drafts. This guy just rips darts on the field and rips darts off the field.
Yeah.
This guy is just a dart thrower and ripper. And how do you, like, I know I brought it up when we were talking about Baker, like, that, just the way he carries himself, he's just like, yeah, I'm here to throw the ball. I'm Uncle Rico, what's up? Like, yeah, that is who I am. Like, it's like, yeah, man, I love you. You're great. I hope you do really well. I have no reason to wish you negative. Like, you're great.
Yeah. He's interesting, like, as a character, but then actually you look at him statistically, like, his touchdown interception ratio is great, and I still will stick by this, because if A-Rod is done after this year, I think it could happen. I think Gardner Minshew is the Jets quarterback in 2025. I said this a year ago. Just think about the storyline. The Jets have been praying for, they're going to get it this year as long as he's healthy. They've been praying for a sustainable quarterback, and they're going to need somebody for the future when A-Rod's done. And Gardner has been doubted like thrice now. So he was put in Jacksonville, a team that as soon as the Jets blew their chance knew, okay, it's Trevor Lawrence. He could have had the best season ever. They were going to take Trevor Lawrence with how high everyone was on him as a prospect. Then what does he do? He goes over to the Eagles and sits behind Jalen Hurts. That seemed like purgatory. If you're a backup for someone who's younger than you, yikes. Then he goes over to Indy. Richardson goes down 4 weeks in, and he takes that team to the playoffs, but now he's gone because, again, younger quarterback. This is his chance to shine. I know AOC is there, again, younger quarterback, but you don't pay Gardner Minshew the money they're paying him right now. I believe it was a 2-year, $20 million. He was making around $10 million a year. That's not backup money. So here's his chance. If this doesn't go well, he is going to the Jets. I guarantee it. Not really, but he's going to the Jets.
Yeah, and the Raiders could be like, all right, if he plays well, we got him for another year and we can reevaluate again. Like
exactly. So maybe Jets 2026. But yeah, I like that pick a lot. Not a ton of target comp. Like, yes, Jacoby is there. Devontae is well over 30 now. I think that's good. My last one on the sleepers here is a defense, and it's kind of just like capitalize on an offense that has a lot to figure out. It could bite me in the butt. But I'm going to go Vikings defense against the Giants offense that averaged 16 points a game last season. That was a historically bad mark. Now, if Malik Neighbors has the rookie debut of a lifetime and goes 200 for 2 touchdowns, which I think he could, then we're screwed. But I think total points mark is set at 41.5. It's been teetering. That's one of the lower totals for week 1. If Vegas knows anything in this matchup, the Vikings aren't going to allow a lot of points. So that's where I'm going.
I don't mind it. I could easily see the Vikings kind of like punting on the year and kind of letting the offense go and be like, hey, we know this isn't what we're going to look like next year outside of Addison and Jefferson and Hawk. Let Hawk get healthy. Let's get McCarthy back on the offense. That defense, they're just going to kind of kick on and be like, hey, what do we got on defense? They're going to try a bunch of different things. Some of it might work. I don't hate it. I think they're in a state of transition and they have to kind of use this year to see what they got on defense. And so that could result in some positive things. Could also go really bad.
Yeah, no, it definitely could. I know I'm taking a risk here. The Giants could come out and score like 27-33, and then I'm looking like an idiot. But do you go with a defense in like the 12th or 13th round and just ride with the Browns or Cowboys or insert dominant program here? Or do you stream? Because I've been streaming the last couple of years. I take advantage of bad matchups.
I'm a streamer 100%. Like I don't mind taking. I got Browns as like the 5th defense a couple days ago. I was like, okay, I guess. Yeah, I will never take one like, because I'm gonna take my defense over like my wide receiver 5. I will never do that. I will make sure my other positions are filled first, and then figure it out from there. I'm usually a streamer, but I have a couple Browns this year. I have the Packers in a couple, but for the most part, it's a stream. And the Chargers I'm pretty big on this week, just to see if they beat the crap out of the Raiders week 1.
Yeah.
But yeah, for the most part, I'm streaming defenses 100%.
That's fair. I was going to put Jacoby Myers on this list, but I'd be kind of a hypocrite if I just talked about how bad that offense is, and they do have a definitive one. They did go out and re-sign him. He was actually going to be a free agent, or he was a free agent for a short period of time.
It's true.
And they went after him. I think Gardner is going to keep them afloat. Like, they're not going to contend, but maybe 6. I think they're at 6.5, 7 win total. I could see them maybe getting 8. There's chances there. Again, folks, if you want to jump in and ask any start-sit questions for tonight, game was delayed until 7:40. We'll be on for a little bit more, or trade questions, draft questions. If you are a psychopath and you're about to draft, that would be pretty crazy. But
wild.
I was doing it earlier today, so I guess there is that. But yeah, otherwise, make sure you guys leave a like. Make sure you subscribe. Almost at 1,000, and then you go into the live chat. The most recent comment is from me, Armchair Fantasy Football, and it's how you can follow T-Bone with the MV3 Podcast. I'll go on there occasionally, just talking football pretty much every single week. This is the heyday right now, and also college football. Do you have Michigan against Texas? This has nothing to do with this channel, but I'm just kind of curious. It's a tough matchup. I mean, Arch was playing last week, right?
Yeah. Listen.
It'll be competitive.
Michigan is not losing. I have Michigan plus 10.5. I don't. If they win, I won't be like, oh my god, I'm so surprised.
Yeah.
I'm expecting them to lose, but I don't think they're gonna get blitzed by more than they're not getting beat by more than 10.
Fair.
They're at home with that. The defense is still good. I don't like when people are like, oh, they scored 30 points. Yeah, they scored 30 points last year with a better offense against Bowling Green and East Carolina. Like, Fresno State's not an awful team. Like, they went 9-3 in the group of they weren't a bad team from last year.
Right.
Now, I would have liked to see the offense score more because obviously they had a pick 6 and the offense didn't look great. I can admit that. I have Michigan plus 10.5. I know that's like, oh wow, the line. I think the line is officially 7.5.
Sure.
I don't think it gets to 8, but I bought it up to 10.5 because I just don't see Michigan losing by double digits at home this early. Yeah. So if I'm like, oh, gun to my head, let me pick a straight line team. Fine, give me Texas, but
yeah,
I'm not doing that.
Ooh, we have a request to give a good same game parlay. I'm assuming that's anywhere. If I go tonight,
yeah. I'm like, yeah, I have one out for tomorrow for the Packers Eagles. I have one tonight. I have, I have one tonight, one tomorrow. Then I have a bunch of anytime touchdowns, but those aren't some games. I have ones for tonight and tomorrow. Which do you prefer?
We'll go tonight.
Sure. Tonight, I have Travis Kelce 50+ yards.
Okay.
Patrick Mahomes 250+ yards passing.
Easy. Yep.
I have a Derrick Henry anytime touchdown.
Yep.
And I have Patrick Mahomes under rushing yards 20.5.
Ooh. I could see that. Protect him early. No need to have him take chances.
Yeah.
He's not fighting for his season, right?
Nope. I don't think he's gonna be out here. I mean, he could be. And he easily could rip off 3 6-7 yard runs, and I'm screwed. But
yeah,
that's the 4 that I have for today. I think it's almost a bona fide guarantee that Derrick Henry gets in the end zone tonight.
I like that. I would probably prey on the Commanders if I did put something down. Baker over 247.5 against a team that allowed more passing yards than anyone last year. And then I'd probably double down with someone in the receiving game. So I'm looking Godwin, Evans. Let's see. It'd be over 247.5 for Baker. Holy moly, you got to scroll. They're doing like 5 a team. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I would just double down. I can't find the line right now. But yeah, if Godwin's like 72.5, I'd probably, that's actually kind of high, but I'd probably go over on his line. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm big on FanDuel where you can do all the alt lines.
Okay.
So I'm like, like 69.5, is a lot. Yeah, but I like 60 just for him to get 60 plus. I like that a lot better than I do like 68.5 or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
I'll do that. Or if it's like, his over 62.5, I'm like, that seems like a lot. Even 60. Okay, I'll drop it to 50. And
okay.
I think I did that with Kelsey. I think Kelsey's might have been 62.5 and I went to 50.
Yeah, that's fair. T Swift is there. He'll get his touches.
That was my thinking.
Oh, I found it. Godwin 57.5. I'd probably take that. He needs like 3 or 4 breakaway, 20, down the field type of plays.
And at that point, if it's like, I like 57.5, you're like, all right, well, I could probably get a little bit better juice if I just go 60 plus.
Yeah.
Like, what is 2.5 yards really going to get me? Like, it's not going to move the needle a bunch, but it's also like, all right, do I really want to look at like, I'm more of an even numbers kind of guy. Do I want to watch if he's got 60 or 50, 58? Like,
stressful.
No, and it's just a small little bump in the odds that he's gonna have better, or you're gonna get more juice on 60, an alt 60 line than you are 57.5.
Yeah.
So
payout will be better for sure. How many teams are you in this year?
Oh God.
Or 17? How many leagues? I guess. How many?
18, 17.
18 leagues
between redraft and dynasty. Yeah.
I was at 6 last year, and I was sick to my stomach, so I'm down to 4. Holy cow. I respect it. You should have your own freaking fantasy channel.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
I respect it. That's just probably like an hour every Sunday morning where you got to make sure, though, like, okay, game time decision. Is he in? Is he out? Is he in? Is he out?
That's what I was just doing. I was doing that pre-show, like just looking and making sure. All right, and that's just one game, and I'm like, oh man, this took a good 5-6 minutes to go through all the teams just to make sure. Okay, Thursday. No, okay, I'm good. Thursday. No, okay, I'm good. And I'm like, oh man, that is gonna be I'm gonna have to make sure I am free at like 11:15 Sunday mornings.
Oh my gosh, 100%.
Speaking of, I think we're doing our podcast on Sunday morning anyway, from 11 to noon, just right to kick off the new season. With our NFL preview stuff, and I'm like, oh man, I'm going to have a second screen up. Yeah. I'm going to have my second screen up just going through it as we're talking, but yeah, it's a lot. I might cut back. We'll see how it handles, but yeah.
That's fair. Want to put you on the spot a little bit here, and I'll answer it myself because it'll only be fair before we get off and the game kicks off in about 25 minutes. Who would you say, we'll do a couple different positions, who finishes the year as QB1, RB1, and wide receiver 1? And we can alternate. You can start with QB, and we'll just go here, there.
I'm gonna go off the wall because I think I have faith he stays healthy. I think it's Anthony Richardson.
Ooh, I like it. He's going as like the QB5 right now, so he's definitely up there. He just got to stay healthy, right?
He stays healthy. I have no reason not to believe Granted, it was limited games last year, but his fantasy points per game last year were number 1. So if he stays healthy, yikes! Just learn to slide, brother. Just learn to slide.
That's the main thing, right? We don't want to see a repeat of RG3, where phenomenal rookie season, and now he's an analyst. Yep.
Right.
I'm not off the wall. It's definitely not the favorite. Like, I'm not going to go Lamar. I think he hands the ball off a lot more in that rushing offense. He's a year older, and Henry is just going to eat impact until he retires. I'm not going to go Mahomes. I'm not going to go Allen because he lost the targets. I'm actually going to go, or he lost the talent out wide. I'm going to go Jalen Hurts. We'll see how prevalent the tush push is this year, but I look at Allen and Hurts, and I was debating between them two, and I go, okay, Well, Hurts has a way better supporting cast than Josh Allen. He still might throw 12 picks, but if he has 10 rushing touchdowns again, frankly, I don't care. So that one's kind of a boring one, but I think he'll be up there again.
Sure. Yeah. So, I mean, I'll go to RB1 based on, because you kind of brought up Hurts. I think it's Saquon.
Ooh.
Because he can kind of catch the ball a little bit, but I think I think the Eagles pull back from the tush push a little bit. It's very effective, but they don't have Kelsey anymore, which is very underrated of losing him.
True.
And they recently kind of said, like, he did a lot more for Hurts than most in terms of protections and all that stuff. But I'm not really worried about that. I just think they're going to not do the tush push as much. You take 15 to 20 to 30 less hits on Hurts, and you give that to Saquon at the goal line.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think you bring in a guy like Saquon if you're not giving him the ball at the one. Like, Hurts is still there, but you also need to protect him. So, give me Saquon. I think he gets a little bit more touchdowns, and yeah.
I think he's definitely top 3. I'm going to go somewhere else, but I do think that's a very valid argument. You lose Kelsey. You don't want to hurt Hurts. You know, he had some injury issues down the stretch. That team was fizzling out anyway. They're paying him a lot of money for a running back, like $12 million a year, and then the guarantee is still around like $27, $28 million for 3 years. Like, regardless of what happens, that man is going to make $9 million a year, and he is not young for a running back anymore. So, yeah, they better use him. Like, you better get your money's worth at that point. That's my mentality. I'm going to go Breece Hall as long as that offense stays very healthy. I think everyone's worried about A-Rod to Garrett Wilson, and you forget about one of the better pass catchers in the league who had 1,500 all-purpose yards last year in a bad offense. If they're even decent and can win 10 games and he gets those fourth quarter rushes for a winning football program, and again, he needs to stay healthy, I think Breece could have a pretty good shot at it.
Yeah, Breece he's up there. He's being drafted like it. I don't hate it.
Oh, we've got Fantasy Dog. That's an awesome name. And we've got 7 likes in the stream now. If you guys get us up to 10 before the conclusion of this one, would appreciate it. I'm Cory. This is Armchair Fantasy Football. We've got T-Bone from the MV3 Podcast. Look at the most recent comment in the live chat to go over there. They're talking football every single week, usually on Wednesday. All right, wide receiver 1. Who do you have?
I have the sun god himself, Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Ooh.
I think Jamar Chase is being drafted like it. I don't know his contract. I think he'll be on the field. I don't know if they get a deal done or not. CeeDee Lamb got his deal. All right. Does he not care as much now? Justin Jefferson got his deal. Lost his quarterback.
Yeah.
So the 3 guys who usually would be like, all right, those are the guys. Amon-Ra. He's got a good supporting cast around him. You can't key in on him like you can some of the other guys. He's going to get peppered with targets. He's the number 1 wide receiver in option by a mile. Laporta's second, so he doesn't even have another wide receiver to really compete with him.
True.
Give it to me.
All right, we got Fantasy Dog agreeing with you there. I don't like my argument as much now that you said that because, I mean, you bring a good point. Like, they had Josh Reynolds in there. They tried out a few different guys as that too, and not that it ever really needed to stick because, again, there's so much talent on that team. They have a top 5 offensive line. They've got dudes up front. They have a great running game. I think there's serious potential for him. Always loved Amon-Ra. He has incrementally gotten better every single year. That situation has gotten better with him. I need Sam Darnold to be a top 20 quarterback for this to happen, and I doubt it happens. Even top 25. But when you look at a situation like a rookie quarterback or a new quarterback in a system, they are usually going to use the wide receiver 1 as a security blanket, and that's definitely going to happen with someone who I still think is the most talented in the league at that position in Justin Jefferson. It is solely up to the quarterback play. If Jetta plays 16+ and Sam Darnold plays well enough to play 16+, I don't want to know what's going to happen if he doesn't. I'll take him. I would much rather see, or I do think it's a much better odds that Amon-Ra ends up being it. CD is like the boring answer right now. Tyreek is 30 now, and he does have decent target competition in Waddle. Not much tight end play there, but yeah, I think Amon-Ra's got a serious shot at it. Want to go tight ends just for the heck of it, and then we'll wrap it up?
Give me Evan Ingram.
I love that. I am a big Evan Ingram buyer.
Yeah, give me Evan Ingram. just kind of like we said about Lawrence, to prove it. Kind of, hey, are you here for this? Can you do this? None of his wide receivers are really like I'm super scared about. Like I'm just not. Christian Kirk doesn't scare me. But yeah, give me. If I had to pick another, I'll let you go. But yeah, I would say Ingram is my number one.
Yeah. I'm gonna say hot take here. He's not one. I think Jake Ferguson cracks the top 5. Especially with CD not being very available early on here. He will end up playing contract year. That is an electric offense, regardless of how hard they choke in the postseason. They're going to put up 28 to 30 a game. I think Jake Ferguson makes a big jump. I'm going to go with probably the boring answer and say Laporta, but I want to do someone else because I don't really need to analyze that. Obviously, he was the one last year.
Right. I mean, I have another one. If it's not.
Oh yeah, let's hear it. Let's hear it.
Well, did I lose you?
Oh, you still there?
Oh no, did we lose each other? I don't hear you.
Oh, I see you and hear you. 1 second.
Oh no, we are having audio issues right at the end. This is awful. What happened? Well, I don't know.
We good now? Not good. Okay. Ooh, let's see. How about now?
Oh.
Nothing. Oh, shoot. Okay. Here, we'll try and get this back. One moment. Folks, we'll step aside for 1 second. I'm going to figure out these audio issues. All right, folks, we're actually just going to stay on. I can shift it over to this screen here. We're having a couple technical difficulties with at least the visuals. At least we got the audio back. That's kind of the important part. Oh, wait.
Yep.
We're good. I got us.
Oh, we're back.
We back, baby. Okay, so we were going over sleepers. We got them all pretty much managed now. Thank you guys so much for hanging around. I see a handful of you still in here. If you have any questions the last couple minutes, run them by us. Someone was giving me, they said, input-output device? No, we're good there. Honestly, don't know what it was.
Yeah, who knows? We were all good, and then he didn't hear me, and I didn't hear nobody. And, hey, it is what it is. We're here. We'll finish it up. No problem.
Yeah, there we go. Kenny Stage Trail says, I was about to ask a tough question. Lay it on us. We were going over tight end ones. I said Jake Ferguson should crack the top 5. And you had 2 picks. If you want to go over the first one quickly and then the second one too.
Yeah. So I first said Evan Ingram. I just think none of those wide receivers really scare me. And we've seen what he can do both. Like, granted, the year he got Pro Bowl with the Giants, Robert Tonyan got robbed. Because Tonyan had like 10 touchdowns and Ingram had like 4. And that was wild. But I like Ingram. I think he's really their number 1 option. Kirk doesn't scare me. He just doesn't. Like, he's a good player, but I don't think he's a bona fide number 1, regardless of what his contract says. So that's kind of who I was going to go with. That's the first guy I said for the number 1. The other guy is another second-year guy, and Dalton Kincaid. Similar situation out in Buffalo.
I like that.
He none of your wide receivers. I mean, Keon Coleman could be very good. We don't know, but you lose Gabe Davis and Stephon Diggs. Like, Gabe Davis wasn't even that good last year for him, but you have Keon Coleman and Shakir as your 1 and 2, and it's like
Curtis
Dalton
Samuel, who is like older than dirt.
Yeah. So it's like, all right, none of them scare me. I'm like, well, I know Kincaid's a good player, and I hyped him up a little bit, saying, like, if you take out Laporte this year, Kincaid had a fantastic rookie season. I think Kincaid makes that jump again. I think him and Laporte are fighting probably for 1 and 2. I expect Ingram to be right there with him. But yeah, if I had to put another name on it, give me Kincaid all day. Similar to how I feel about Ingram, like, their targets, he should get the bulk of the work. I just don't know what they're going to want to do with him, but give me Kincaid as well.
I like that. The top of the tight end market's kind of weird. Like, I was going to try and convince some of you that Kyle Pitts had a shot. The quarterback situation has not been great. Obviously, it's going to be better with Kirk. He still does have to compete with Drake London. People forget that Bijan is like a decent pass catcher as well. He should be involved. Beyond that, like, Darnell Mooney is technically the 2, and he hasn't had a 1,000-yard season in 3 years. I still don't think Kyle Pitts is the 1. So, yeah, I like Ingram. I love Kincaid. I've been a big buyer on his stock because of a lack of target competition. There's not a definitive 1. You could argue there's not a definitive 2. If you took one of those guys in the Bills receiving core right now and plopped them somewhere else, I'm not sure they're the second best receiver on a lot of teams right now. Kenny's got a question, and then we'll wrap it up here. Start 1 receiver full PPR. This is actually a head-to-head between the Texans and the Colts. So AFC South action. Pittman or Diggs? I'm leaning Pittman due to lack of target comp. I think Diggs is in the better offense, but also Richardson can rip it. I'm thinking Pittman right now. What about you?
So we've been on the same page a lot, but I'm actually leaning the other way. I'm going Diggs. So a lot of how when we were breaking down the number 1 wide receiver, we were saying, well, Jefferson's quarterback, he got paid. We don't know what that looks like. CD got paid. Who knows what that looks like? Chase doesn't have a contract, and he just started practicing yesterday. So those are your top guys. Diggs does not have a contract. He's older. Yeah. But he's not old in terms of like a DeAndre. I don't know their ages, but
so I know Diggs is 30, but yeah, Hopkins is like he's seen more injuries.
33. He can be 32, 33 with injuries. I think Diggs, just because, yes, you have mouths to feed, but Nico's never been a certified number 1. He became one last year because of opportunity. Same with Tank Dell. Like, Tank is equally as good, but neither one of them have had sustained success as this number 1 option. Not that I think I would prefer Nico to Tank anyway, except maybe in year long, or in a dynasty. But Diggs is a bona fide number one and has been, and I think he's going to be able to teach these young two guys, like, not how to be a professional, because Nico's been around for a couple of years. It's not like he's a rookie.
Yep.
But they don't have this experience that Diggs has just in terms of being the guy. And I think it's going to actually help elevate the whole offense, because whether that he stays with Houston or not, he doesn't have a contract. If he goes and balls out and says, yo, I can still do this, either Houston's going to say, all right, you can just stay here. Like, why not? We can deal with this. Or he'll go get paid somewhere else. But Diggs kind of has something to prove. Like, hey, I'm not over the hill. Josh Allen didn't make me. I made Josh Allen. I'm still the guy.
I like it.
So I think he's kind of got that chip on the shoulder, which some of those other top guys, like we had mentioned, don't have since they've gotten their contracts. Now, I love their, like, Nico and Tank and Schultz and Mixon even catching balls.
That's going to be weird to see.
I love the offense. I'm really excited about that offense. But I think Diggs kind of is the one who's going to elevate him even more, and you're going to see him being the number one while bringing along Nico and Tank and be like, they're not going to regress. I'm here. You have to worry about me. And so give me Diggs in that role. And I think people are, he almost was one of my sleepers.
Yeah, no, I could see that, right? Obviously, there's the argument I fall into a lot with. So, Kenny, you're going to have to pick an argument. We're kind of going different ways here. I'm scared of the target comp, but I do think that's an interesting point that you make, that A, he's not assigned to a stable contract, right? He's over 30. They don't want to do a long-term commitment to him. And B, we've seen a lot of examples, like just as a Bears fan, I've seen Brandon Marshall come to town or DJ Moore, and they're like, all right, get out of the way, right? Like, everyone goes down a rung. It's not like he and Nico Collins have to be mutually exclusive. Like, they'll line up on opposite sides of the field, I'm sure. But it might be one of those situations where the Texans are like, all right, we saw what we had last year. The window's open. The Stephon Diggs window could be very short. Let's use him while we can. I'd be interested to see it. The Colts gave up a decent amount of yards through the air last year, too. I know they were, I don't have it labeled, but they were bottom half in the league. I think that could be a high-scoring game. So
they also they re-signed their nickel is the highest paid nickel, I believe, on that defense.
Yeah.
I believe it's Kenny Moore is his name. So not only that, but Diggs doesn't play in the slot. So the guy who does play in the slot is going to guard probably Tank or Nico, depending on how they use him. But Kenny was asking, would you put both of them in and swap out Mostert or Jones?
I would.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I would.
I think Pittman's being drafted as a top 15, 20,
Easily.
15, 20 guy. Diggs, I think, should be there. Mostert is undervalued because he finished as running back 2 last year.
Correct.
Why he's going in like round 10 is absurd.
32 years old.
Aaron Jones. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Aaron Jones, I don't really know. I think Aaron Jones and Mostert both have good seasons. But week 1, I prefer wide receivers in my flex anyway if it's a PPR.
Yeah.
And you said it's a full PPR. Jones catches the ball, Mostert doesn't. I would put Pittman and Diggs in and roll Mostert and Jones out of there for this week.
Yeah, I think you've got, I want to look at the total here on the ESPN app. It's a 48.5 point total. These two teams are supposed to have.
Isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, that is, the Packers Eagles is pretty high too. I forget what they're at. 49, but it's up there. Like,
40, yeah, they're up there.
Yeah, we're supposed to see a lot of scoring. These are two teams that, again, when healthy with Richardson, which he is right now. There are very unique situations where I would take a running back over a traditional pass catcher like a receiver or an elite tight end in a flex spot. This is not one of them. Like prime Christian McCaffrey, healthy Breece Hall, maybe. But, Mostert, Jones, we're getting into different situations with Jones and a new team. And then Mostert's 32. He's got to fight with Achane. Yeah, I wouldn't do it. I would just take the two receivers.
Yeah, 100%. Especially when you said he was saying Tyreek is number 1.
Yeah.
So you're rolling out Tyreek, Diggs, and Pittman. That's
pretty solid.
You probably have the positional advantage likely at your wide receiver 1, even if it's Pittman at wide receiver 2, whatever, because he's probably being drafted higher.
Yeah.
Okay, like you probably have a decent or level playing field there, but yeah, give me the 3 all day.
Yeah, you've got some trade capital there down the road. I'm not sure what your 4 situation looks like, but that looks pretty good.
It's good. It's good. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, he said heard that, homies. Yeah, no problem, man. Again, make sure you are liking and subscribing. We'll be going live. I'm probably going to do early afternoon tomorrow because we're working some prep football, high school football, baby. So that'll be fun. But football does kick off here in the NFL in about 5 minutes. I've been telling everyone today this, T-Bone, everyone at my work. I'll say it to you as well. Merry Christmas, man.
Merry Christmas. We're here. We are here.
We are back.
Let's do it.
All right. He's got Lamar, Etienne, and White. All right. Well, thank you all so much for watching, for listening. Appreciate it a ton. I'll put this link in the live chat one more time. Make sure that I'll put it in the description once we're done here as well. If you want to hear or see more of T-Bone, I'll be following him over to the MV3 Podcast from time to time as well. They are on YouTube. They are on Facebook. They are on Twitch. We've got the most recent comment in the live chat attached below. But T-Bone, thank you so much for coming on, man, and talking football with me. That was a blast.
Yeah, man, absolutely. I appreciate you having me on and plug our pod a little bit. And you've helped us a bunch, and happy to get over here and help you as well.
Yeah, appreciate it. You have a great night, man. Have a great night to everybody watching. Kenny's ready for football. I'm ready for football. T-Bone's ready for football. Road to 1,000 subs. Make sure you guys hit that button, of course, before you get out of here today. We do appreciate it. We will see you early tomorrow.